That to me is what I find from Nimona.
You're not less.
You're not less just because of X, Y, and Z.
To that, she accepts who she is. She knows who she is.
Yeah.
And she just owns it. Welcome back to another episode of Real Chumps, where chatting about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we are discussing the 2023 film Nimona, directed by Nick Bruno, Troy Quinn, written by Robert L. Baird and Lloyd Taylor, and Pamela Ribon, starring Chloe Grace Moritz, Riz Ahmed, and Eugene Lee Yang, plus many more.
Before we jump into the movie, we wanted to remind you to please subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and make sure you turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode.
To join the conversation, follow us on social media at Real Chumps. And if at the end of the episode you loved our conversation, it would really help us if you left a review. Do you think Netflix should have released this movie in theaters?
No.
No.
Actually,
I think yes. Let us know in the comments, or actually, if you're listening to us on Spotify, we will have a poll. Let us know yes or no if you think this is there. Now for our discussion about this.
I think maybe. I think yes, depending on when they would have released it.
This was a stacked summer, so there's that.
I wouldn't have done it this summer. I think I would have released it prior to, and I'll tell you why. I would have released it prior to Mario Brothers. Reason being is then you have the animation styles of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Across the Spider-Verse, which I think would have had this released in theaters after those two movies. There would have been too much like, oh, it's not that it's not as good of animation as those two, but I think that it would have received harsher critiques.
Interesting. I was actually thinking, like, I think releasing prior to Super Mario would have been good, or even like November. But again, writer strike, all this other stuff. Yeah. But I mean, Netflix doesn't do like that, or even just like a limited release of movies in the movie theater or something like that.
Do you know it's Rocky production on this?
No.
So this
is the history of our relationship to this movie right now.
Yeah. So this movie was originally Sky Blue. That's the Fox. Animation.
Yes.
What was, is it Sky Blue?
I can't remember.
Blue Sky Studios.
Oh, Blue Sky.
Blue Skies.
Okay. Originally, this was
originally Blue Sky Studios production. The movie was finished by like 75%. They said it was completed. Then Disney bought out Sky Blue, right?
Blue Sky.
And then they scrapped it.
What?
They scrapped the movie, and they're like, yeah, we're not moving forward with it.
So then they tried to find new...
So then Annapurna, the studio,
and
Netflix came and approached it, and like, no, there's something here. So then they bought it, and then they hired... I was reading about it. They hired some other studio to finish the animation on it.
Because they didn't have any animation studio left, whatever. But...
So this movie was highly anticipated from Blue Skies, but then again once they
year? This year?
No, so Blue Skies was bought by Disney in 2019, 2020. In 2019 was when they did the acquisition of it, March 2019.
Okay, so maybe
because Blue Skies is owned by Fox. Yeah,
so
it was part of that.
Okay,
it was part of that
the
acquisition there. And Blue Skies, they're the ones that have done the Peanuts movie.
Oh, yeah.
What else did they do? But they've had a couple of good hits. But yeah, this movie was like super anticipated. Ice Age. They're the ones that did all of the Ice Age.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's wild.
Yeah.
This movie would have done really good. I mean, if they had released it on what? Well, good for Netflix for getting this, because I'm excited to talk about this with you. It's yeah.
Here, I'm gonna read some of what Insider reported.
So Insider, give it to us.
So they reported that 3 former Blue Sky staff members reported that Nimona received pushback from Disney leadership in mid-2020, centered around the film's LGBTQ themes and same-sex kiss. So initially, Blue Sky leadership removed the kiss scene when they presented it to Disney, quote, despite hoping to ultimately include it in the film. the sources said. Blue Sky leadership eventually showed reels to staffers that included the kiss, but the studio was shut down soon after. End of quote.
The entire studio shut down by Disney?
So then Nimona, they shut down Blue Sky. So then Nimona was then picked up by Annapurna Pictures in 2022, and then DNEG Animation took over the production.
Dang. Well, I'm glad it came out.
I'm glad it came out. I'm glad that they sold this eventually, and Netflix got its hands on it. So
yeah, and recently I didn't realize, but it's based off a graphic novel. And you saw it at Barnes and Noble the other day.
Yeah, I saw it.
Sent a picture of it to me, and I was like, "What?" So the plot synopsis for Nimona: it's a futuristic fantasy world where this city lives in fear of monsters, and they are class based, and they're about to honor their first non-royal knight into knighthood, and then this knight who ends up killing the queen and gets set on a chase and finds an unlikely sidekick.
He gets framed.
Oh, he gets framed. Sorry, he gets framed for this murder, and he goes on the run and finds an unlikely sidekick who is the true hero of the story. Nimona, who has a very unique skill and a secret to be revealed. I don't know if that's a good synopsis,
great.
But yeah,
this is a great movie.
So it's a great movie. It's a beautiful movie, in my opinion.
Is this our first? No, we did. This isn't our first animated movie, huh?
No, we've done the Miyazaki Princess Mononoke.
All right, that's right.
And then we've done. I don't remember what the other one. Have we done another one?
I think that's it.
Oh, this is our second.
Yeah, so this is our second animated movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. I think we were gonna try to do Elemental, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, it doesn't matter.
This is a great movie. Really fun. Great themes. Great animation style. Especially, like I said, in this year where we've had Across the Spider-Verse and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Mario.
I
don't know if that's a different animation style, but it's it's a illumination style.
Yeah.
Animation. So yeah.
And then you have this, which is really, really cool and unique.
Yes.
It takes elements from the graphic novel. I was flipping through the pages when I saw it at Barnes & Noble. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't get to read it, which I'm kind of bummed about, but we'll get to it. Yeah. And I love this movie. This is a really fun movie.
It is a really fun movie. My experience is I don't think I actually knew it was coming out, but because sometimes I'll go through and watch some of the stuff that's coming out and then save it to get note. But I saw that there was I apparently saw it in some clips, and so I decided to favorite it. And I was in Boston for the 4th of July weekend, and we watched it. My kids and I. When I tell you that my kids freaking fell in love with this, they were on the bed so excited. They were they loved Nimona. Uh-huh. They thought she was hilarious. They thought she was awesome. My youngest, who is very much ever since Barb came out, she's very Barb, very wants to be not the regular. She not always princess.
Okay.
Very much would is okay with being rocker, and so this idea of being the under this not wanting to be the norm, she loved it, and I loved it.
Yeah. And it's such a cool concept. It's here's how I was thinking about it this morning, because I just barely finished watching it. Mm-hmm. If Zelda and Cyberpunk and
Cyberpunk, okay,
had a baby, this is what it would be. I love the aesthetic of it all.
Oh yes,
it's like a modern medieval time.
Yeah, it's just
right, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I love it. I love that they made it medieval.
Yeah,
but it is cyberpunky.
Yeah,
because they have they don't have horses. They have these hover horse cycles, which I thought was fun. They have the laser crossbows guns.
Yeah.
But they still wear swords. They have swords and
the knight armor. Here it is. If Zelda and and Cyberpunk and Blade Runner had a baby.
Oh.
This is the product of that.
I think I remember when I was watching it for the first time, I'd recently been thinking about like, what would it look like to have like a world where it's not just guns and it's like futuristic, this style, like
Medieval, yeah,
like fantasy, but like future, what, but have the elements that are carried over. And this movie really hits a lot of that. And I fell in love with the idea. And I would love to see more stories told with these things that we've come to love about fantasy, whatever, but set in a futuristic time period of stuff. In fact, if you ever seen the Book of Life, who also did Maya and the Three, he posted that he had pitched to Netflix about another like Mexican centric there, but it was about the Aztec culture set in a futuristic time period.
Huh, interesting.
So it's got this Mexican culture and this ancient Aztec history, but with future, like with modern technology or futuristic technology and stuff in a futuristic world. And I was like, oh, I want that. And it got canceled or didn't get picked up or something.
Oh, damn.
George Gutierrez, who is amazing. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should definitely do it because he's got amazing stuff. So I agree with you. Stylistic wise, animation, beautiful, very unique. And I was here for it.
I want to start off with the characters.
Me too.
And let's start off with our main character by the name of, I just totally forgot. They have the coolest names. So Ballister Blackheart. So Ballister is the one who is framed for the murder of the queen.
Yeah.
And he's voiced by Riz Ahmed. What is it about Ballister that makes us like cheer for him? Yes, he's on, the good guy because we know he's framed for the murder. But why do we cheer for Ballister?
I think we can all resonate with the fact of like finding success, yet having this imposter feeling. That's what I think it is. But being full, or doubting our success. Maybe not so much the imposter syndrome, but doubting that we deserve the success that we might be receiving.
I like that. I think as an adult, that's how I resonate with him. I think for other audiences, it could be the lack of acceptance, right? He's not fully accepted, which we see later in the movie, also with Nimona. But it's very clear that he's not accepted because he doesn't come from not royal bloodline, but rather from a legacy of knights, right? And this class division, right? Whether you are, I don't know, how do I want to phrase this? I want to be careful. Whether you're a teenager who just doesn't feel accepted, everyone, or an adult who maybe feels like they don't deserve this success or whatever, everyone at some point doubts their own identity. It
could be via your race. It could be via your sexual orientation. It could be just your hobbies or the things that you like. Being in situations where like everybody's they all are very active individuals, and I'm not that I don't go out and do stuff. I just don't work out as much, and so. Or even go out on hikes or do all these other things that you feel left out, or you feel like you're not welcome. And it's not like, some people may want to, they do accept you, but then there's others that may like say, oh, they're along. And that's what you find in this movie. You see Ballister struggling left and right with finding acceptance and love from Ambrosius, who is highly kind of like from a specific line.
He's a descendant of
Glorith.
Glorith. Yep.
And so he's a descendant of Glorith, and then all these other characters who are always, or this one other character who Thaddeus, maybe. Anyways, I can't remember the guy, but the guy's Todd, freaking Todd, going in and like mocking him and trying to be friends, and then like, you really believed me? Come on! And he's like over there like roughhousing with all the knights, which I really appreciated was like one individual that like was the voice of how other people, like the higher society felt.
Of a higher society felt, yeah.
Right.
Do you think the characters of Ballister and Ambrosius are... okay, maybe this is the better question. Is LGBTQ accepted in this community? Because that's kind of the vibe that I got, was that
they were not.
No, that they were.
That
same-sex attraction or etc. Is accepted here.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think it's not about love or anything. I think it's just about class. It's about status. It's about I mean, at the end of the day, like, they want the story narrative that as a collective we tell, or as in versus the individuals and what we should come to be, right? The entire film really, like, with the Nimona being such a distinct character who has a very wonderful power of shapeshifting,
yeah,
and being called a monster, right? And this division of like, are you there's monsters and then there's people,
mm-hmm.
and then there's good and then there's bad, and then there's elite and there's peasants.
There's peasants, and the whole society has built itself around this fear towards monsters, right? They've even walled themselves.
Yes,
it's an entire kingdom, so to speak, that has built a wall around its society.
Yeah,
to quote unquote keep monsters out.
Yeah,
right. And so I love this narrative of class that this movie depicts in this style, that we are better because we know there are monsters who aren't people, right? Who can be a threat to us because we've built our entire society on this legend that Glorith took out this monster and banned it back into the shadows where it came from.
Yeah.
And that concept has bled in how they treat each other.
Yeah.
Right? Where, yes, they see themselves superior to monsters, but there are these classes that are superior to one another.
Yeah. And
the character of Ballister, to be able to rise above that,
mm-hmm.
to be given an opportunity, a chance, right, by the queen, and to be able to prove to himself, and not necessarily to others, but to himself, that he is accepted, that he is worthy of the same successes, experiences, and opportunities as anyone else, is what I love about this message.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed this character of Boldheart.
Yeah. Ballister, what I think what I also love is that, like, he's just an individual who he understands that there's struggles and that he understands the weight. Or maybe he just understands that, like, he wants to prove to himself. It's not even about the weight. It's just about to himself, right? And I think, to me, I absolutely love that this story is told from the way it is, and the perspective of, like, we're not starting from the beginning. We're starting the repercussions of generational thought,
mm-hmm.
and we're starting in this world, but yet have the core impact, the individual who perhaps started this part of the situation, be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something about that is super beautiful, because Nimona herself is in the same level, and this feeling of outcast, and finding who she as a character wanted to be connected to all these things, and ends up wishing and being granted this wish to be able to connect with all these creatures that who loves, and then not finding any acceptance because they understand she's different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to me, Nimona's character, her reversal arc, and like this movie has such an intriguing character arc. I don't feel like on both ends, for Ballister, for Ambrosius, for Nimona, and for the city.
Yeah.
The character arc on all those fronts have such a unique play in this movie that I haven't seen, or that I can think of in other movies prior. I don't know if you have other thoughts, and what I mean by that is, like, it's not necessarily we find the character, but we have these growths, but then backtracking and finding a new path in a lot of these characters. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this movie, I think another one that comes close to it would be Zootopia.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
I think Zootopia addresses a lot of the same themes that this movie does, just not in a fantasy, modern medieval time. But I think what this one does very differently to Zootopia, besides the action, its animation style, is really give us more perspective from Nimona's character.
Yeah.
And I think you brought this up. One thing that I love, and I think this is my favorite scene, I'll get to it, in the movie, is we have that flashback of when she's remembering of her finally having this power to shapeshift. And she can be a bird, she can be a fish, she can be a horse, she can be whatever. But yet these creatures don't accept her because they know she's different.
Yeah.
Right? And this constant struggle of identity that she has, of I'm not accepted among humans because I shapeshift, and I'm not accepted among these animals that I can shapeshift into because I'm human. Right? Whereas Zootopia, going back to your question, I think Zootopia, there's this lack of identity or even this generational prejudice against different classes based on what type of being a prey, predator or a prey, right? But I love how it's done here.
I think the reason why, although Zootopia does address, you're right, it does address some of those things. It has similar moments. I think that the reason why Nimona is that even as animals, you can, like, it's a fictional world and it's supposed to help us want to think about that for ourselves, but we don't, because they're animals.
Yeah.
We're looking at individuals, and although Nimona has a special power, she still is a human, or she's this individual who can,
you're right there. I love that she shapeshifts, right? Because this is a character that can shapeshift into anything.
Yeah.
And she still lacks the ability to be accepted. To be accepted. Right? And to be able to have that ability to do or to be whoever you want, but still not be welcomed. I think that's what hits really hard. I think that's where it's delivered stronger than like a Zootopia, because she can, yet she isn't able.
Yeah, I love the idea of like Ballister not being able to understand what she is, right, and or not accept it, even though, like, on that same level of like, although she's like, okay, we're the same, okay. I love that scene. To me, I think one of it is that the connection or Nimona coming into Ballister's life and trying to help him understand, and him just, going through a whirlwind. But, for Nimona and her making it very distinguished, when they're trying to shake hands, she turns into the shark, and he's like, "Can you just be normal? What do you mean?
Just be a girl."
What?
Right?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
I love that. And I don't know about the creators. I don't know about whatever. What I think to me is like, it's not, I love that more and more in the world. I think we still have a lot to work on, but then that it shouldn't be class based. And I know that there's a huge division in how much men are paid versus women. as well. You know, like but I love that like that division as for a father of girls like you.
Yeah.
I love that the idea that as my girls get older, that their perception of what they can't do isn't going to be there, and for us as men, that more men will accept that that can do what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still think the pay and some of the other things is going to will be battled for many, and it shouldn't. At the end of the day, like people should be paid for the quality of their work, not just because they're one way or another.
Right. Right. And I think going back to that scene, right? The societal expectations, right? Ballister at that moment is playing this role of what he's always fought against.
Yes.
Right? Where he says, just be normal. Just be a girl. Just be normal or whatever it is, right? And she's pushing back against those ideas, saying in a comedic way by being a shark and giving the fin for him to
put your head in.
You want to put your head in, right? But that's what we're seeing, right? These class divisions, these way, the way we approach, these divisions, whether it be amongst our society, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be education-wise, through opportunities, there is this clear division. And there are times where us or you, where you've been prejudiced, you then become part of the problem.
Yeah.
Right? And we have to have a constant reminder that we need to switch that.
Oh, I love that.
We have been victims of the problem. Yeah, at times we become
we're the contributors to the problem not being resolved. Yeah, making progress on that. Because there is progress, but it's slow. It's slow. You know, you see Ballister. The only reason why he was there is because the queen gave him the opportunity, and he's like, in the whole thing at the very beginning, he becomes this like, it's like a poster child, and so like there's this battle of like feeling that way. Like, are you just the token black guy in the movie? Are you the token Asian? Are you token Mexican? Are you the diversity pick?
Yeah.
And I think this conversation, this idea of class, about division, about separation, is even stronger now more than ever with this movie. You know, watching this movie and thinking about thinking about these things, because once again, the Supreme Court recently overturned what was it called? The diversity, like the requirement for diversity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like you would think, I would think that like, oh no, we've made a lot of progress,
but we haven't.
And this is a perfect example that like, just because like there was a reason why these things were put in place.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see that some of these things have gone back and forth. And it's hard when you're watching the movie and you see Ballister kind of take a step backwards once he sees new information from the narrative.
Once his values are questioned by this new class, so to speak, this monster.
Yeah.
Right? Let's talk Nimona. Nimona is just funny. She's hilarious. She's great.
She's strong. I love that she understands who she is.
Yeah, and accepts who she is.
Yes.
Right?
Chloe Grace Moritz, phenomenal job.
She voices this really well.
So great.
Hits the beats, gives the right tones. She does this really good. Is this her first voice?
No. Chloe Moritz actually has done a couple of things. Maybe so she was in Kick-Ass. She was Hit Girl.
Yeah.
I thought she was in another. She was the Addams Family too. She plays Wednesday Addams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I love her voice. I think she's got some great stuff. Not only that, but like the animation and the character design for her is just killer.
I love the decision of the creators. I think any other studio would have tweaked the character design to be more feminine, to have more curves in the right places.
Oh yeah.
To be a bit more thinner, right? But they didn't do that.
No.
right? I love the conscious decision to portray this young woman as quote unquote
Not Barbie.
not Barbie. Yeah.
That's the only way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that's the. I think it's a way of like, you know, Barbie became this idol of what a woman should look like. And again, Barbie's a wonderful movie. Go see it.
Beautiful movie. My favorite of the year so far. But yeah, I love that conscious decision that they did to design this character as not an ideal young woman, right? And the empowerment that can provide to all, not just to little girls, but to everyone. Of why going back to him telling her just be normal, just be a girl, and she could easily have shape shifted into a Barbie looking young woman, but she doesn't choose that. Going back to that, she accepts who she is, she knows who she is, and she just owns it.
It is so good.
Yeah,
it's so I think it's empowering. I think it's awesome. Every single time I watch this movie, and I've watched it several times since
that's what you've told me.
I'm rooting for her. I'm also just re-emphasize the fact that like I'm like not only rooting for her, but rooting for myself, that like that it's okay. We all go through struggles. Life gives us different blessings and consequences, or whatever you want to call them, and through those we shape our lives. And some of them may mean that we you gain weight, you don't gain weight, you're able to have children, maybe you're not able to have children. Whatever those things happen in your life, that you are still you, and you're not less. That to me is what I find from Nimona.
You're not less.
You're not less just because of X, Y, and Z.
You are you, and I'm sure it's taken Nimona.
I mean, she's been alive for
at least
1,000 years,
right? And I'm sure it took her several years to come to that acceptance.
Yeah,
but we can come to that acceptance as well, right? And I think this is a constant struggle for many and for all, right? As an immigrant myself, right? I have put myself, I've given myself expectations. Others have put expectations, societal expectations. Others have put prejudices on me because of my background, whatever it is. But when I'm able to just accept that I am who I am, and this is me, like, that's when I thrive.
Yeah.
Right? What a great movie. I love it.
So good. Is there anything that you think didn't work?
I don't know if there's something that didn't work. I think this is maybe just my personal preference. And I'm curious to see how it differs from the book, from the graphic novel. But I kind of wish that the other knight, what's his name?
Ambrosius
yeah. Mm-hmm. had been part of the plot of framing or
the story. I felt this is the thing I think that not didn't work, but like could have been not that may have helped, or even look, when you're adapting from a novel or even from from a graphic novel, where it helps a little bit because you already have storyboards and some ideas. But you still, like, you have to have time, runtime. Runtime is a huge situation when it comes to movies, right? How much time do you want to spend in this act? How much time do you want to do that? Where do you want to take people's where do you want to take people to the story, right? That's something that is beneficial in books, that you can jump to another perspective and have a little bit more time, or you can't do that. And if you're going to jump there, how much time are you going to spend there? I think Ambrosius and the crown, the impact of the royal, of the what that is, maybe not threat level, but like the Ambrosius struggle of like in trying to understand why why we're trying to chase that stuff, could have been stronger.
Yeah,
they compensated by having Nimona showcase that, like, people were prejudiced against her. The fact that she turns into the little girl and tries to help the little girl, and the little girl then, you're a monster.
Yeah.
Right. And yet they have the monster selling cereal to them.
Right. The irony.
The irony in they compensated with a lot of other good story beats, so it doesn't feel as weak.
Yeah.
Because it's a very strong story. It's a very powerful story. But I do wonder what it would have contributed if we had that a little bit, like in a couple moments. They have, again, like I said, they have them. They just, I wonder if that could have helped make it better. And maybe, if they were going to go make this, if Disney or some other studio were going to do this, they maybe would have wanted to have a stronger pull to say, well, which side is better? This is why.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Two thoughts. I want to go back to that scene real quick.
Okay.
of her turning into the cereal monster. then Nimona turns into the little girl, and the girl saves her.
Yeah.
And the little girl calls her a monster, right? The irony there.
Dude.
How often do we see? Yeah. How often do we do like cultural appropriation of like other cultures, yet we don't like them, right?
Yes.
Right. It's so common at times for like. And I don't mean to like single out like the white people, but like how often like, oh, I love rap and rap is so cool and whatever. But then
when
we
something
discredit, we dislike, we are prejudiced against the African American community, right?
Right.
And I love that the movie does it in this way. We love this monster cereal. It's so delicious, and we see like several commercials of it throughout the movie. But then when a monster comes and saves her, no, back off, you're a monster, right? And I just thought it was delivered and depicted so beautiful and
beautifully ironic.
Yeah, beautifully ironic.
I think, I don't know, they did just phenomenal job, because you're right, it's and it's not, it's not just it's not just white people, it's not just black people, it's every single race, every single person, whether you're in any part of the country, this happens all the time.
Yeah. And I'm not saying white people don't like,
except we understand you, Marcel.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
This is a safe place.
I just want to make sure. Yeah, if
just know, if you feel like, look, we accept, this is why we have conversations about movies. These are tough conversations to have, but we should have them.
Look, I've been in positions where people are oh, Mexican food is so delicious. And then years later, that same individual, and I'm going to make it my own. And great, I love that. Like, I want to share my culture with you. Yeah. But then years later, that same individual is out criticizing Mexicans and
coming to America or whatever.
And whatever. It's like, all right, man, like, come on.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the other thing I think I would have liked to have changed is, yes, going back to Ambrosius, I think more depth in that. I felt like the character was not involved as often. That to me, I thought he was going to be part of the cover up and helped frame Ballister in the murder.
Right.
So I think that, and like you said, I think more of the consequences of like what it means for the society had the queen, if the queen dies,
or even you talking about it. I honestly think Ambrosius pushing back on the new director, the director who is going to be the queen or whatever, who's very adamant about keeping the
monsters away,
and not only monster, but like the Ballister,
yeah,
she's the one that frames him, because the wonderful Squire boy who gets gets tortured by Nimona, dude, that scene is probably probably my favorite scene.
That's my favorite. I love how Nimona turns into this like demon baby. It's just every time she's so good.
Oh, it's so fun.
Great movie. If you enjoy like Zootopia and like those themes that Zootopia addresses, but want some action, this is it.
Yes,
this is it. I love this movie. It's funny. This is something that will play often in my home. Loved it. And the more I talk about it, I actually would have liked to have seen this in theater.
I think part of the reason why, I think the conversations that would have come from it.
Yeah.
I think the shared experience of like, hearing people laugh at the different moments, and not only that, but like the additional level of connection that we would have all had for the final moments of Nimona.
And I think you said it perfectly for the opportunity, for the discussions that could have happened. I think there's a lot of discussion that is not happening because this movie didn't get the proper
theatrical release,
or even attention to it. I'm sure Disney would have probably had because it's a great cast, probably do some press releases, but because of the writer strikes, they're not doing it, and the actor strikes. So
yeah. Tragic.
It's tragic.
We're telling you now, go check it out because it's a wonderful movie. And more importantly, if you enjoyed our discussion about this episode, consider subscribing so you can, or wherever you get your podcasts, so you can also hear other discussions we have about movies. And if you liked it or have other thoughts or didn't like it, please leave a review so we can get discovered and we can have learn what to do better in this show.
Yeah. And more importantly, we mentioned, we want to hear from you. What did you think of Nimona? What did it hit? What did it miss? We want to hear from you. So be sure to connect with us on all socials. We're at Real Chumps to continue this conversation. You can connect with us via email at you're@realchumps.com. And you can find us on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
At Rubio_TV.
Join us next week. We're going to be discussing the 2019 film Blinded by the Light.
I'm really excited for this film because you said
I love this movie.
This is not the first movie, but I think this is the first movie that you really have you're like, Danny.
No, viewers, make sure you watch this movie because no one in my life has seen this movie.
And I'm excited to watch this movie and then have a discussion about it.
And that's it. I haven't had anyone to talk about.
So watch it so you can then join the conversation and help us have a more wonderful, robust conversation after we have the show.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.